Brought to you by Thomas Algier and Frennis. This edition highlights key LinkedIn posts on electrification and battery technology in weeks 2 and 3. Frennis supports automotive enterprises and consultancies with market and competitive intelligence, so product teams and strategy leaders have the optimal base for their strategic decisions. Welcome back to the deep dive. We have a lot to get through today because, looking at the feeds from the last 2 weeks, the whole tone has really shifted.
It really has.
We're not seeing those flashy concept car posts or the big net zero 2050 promises right now.
No, the fluff is gone. If I had to summarize the mood from the sources we've looked at, so weeks 2 and 3 of the year, it feels like the industry's walked out of the showroom and onto a construction site.
That's a great way to put it.
It's messy, it's loud, and it's all about execution now.
Exactly. It's growing pains, right? The industry is hitting those awkward teenage years where things start breaking, systems get stressed.
And the solutions have to get a lot more sophisticated than just, build more stuff.
Right. So that's the core theme we need to explore today. We're going to look at how charging infrastructure is being forced to mature from like a simple numbers game to a real economic one.
And we have a massive reality check coming for heavy-duty trucking.
Huge. And we're also going to dismantle some of these myths about battery health that are probably costing fleet managers a lot of money.
For sure.
Okay, let's start with that first point. Infrastructure. For the last 5 years, the metric has been so simple: quantity. How many plugs can we stick in the ground?
Yeah, just get them out there.
But looking at a post from Michael Chan, that whole strategy seems to be hitting a wall. He was analyzing the situation up in Canada, specifically around tariffs.
And this is a really crucial piece of context. Canada has cut its tariffs on Chinese EVs down to, 6.1%?
Just 6.1%.
Now, you compare that to the U.S., where there's essentially a 100% tariff wall. Canada is, it's opening the floodgates.
Chan notes they're expecting an influx of potentially 49,000 new, affordable EVs.
That is a massive volume of vehicles, and they're going to change the demographic completely.
Right.
And this is where his insight on dwell time becomes so important for landowners. When you have that many cars coming, you can't just put a charger behind a shed or, in a dark corner of a parking lot anymore.
So it's not just providing a service, it's about
asset utilization.
Yeah.
You can't create a stranded asset.
Right.
He argues that understanding dwell time, how long a car actually sits there, is now non-negotiable. If you install a fast charger where people park for 8 hours, you've wasted your money.
And the other way around, too.
Exactly. Chan's point is that with this flood of vehicles, the location strategy has to be laser-focused. The whole spray and pray approach to infrastructure is dead.
This lines up perfectly with what Cecile Post was saying. She had a phrase that really stuck with me. 2026 is the year fleets force the market to grow up.
Grow up is the perfect way to put it. I mean, until now, you had early adopters enthusiasts who would tolerate a broken charger or a clunky app.
Right, we've all been there.
Fleets will not. Post argues that the whole conversation is shifting from availability, is there a plug, to reliability and performance, throughput, session success. Those are the new KPIs.
Because for a fleet, a failed charging session isn't just an inconvenience, it's a hole in the P&L.
Precisely. If a delivery van fails to charge overnight, that truck doesn't roll the next morning. That's lost revenue, full stop.
And we actually have some hard data that shows quality as a revenue driver. I saw Tom Hurst from Fasten share their Q4 numbers.
They're posting, 44% revenue growth? That's a staggering number in this market.
It is. And Hurst isn't being shy about why. He attributes it to their model. Reliable hardware, high visibility, those yellow canopies, and decent locations.
That sounds so obvious, doesn't it?
It does. Turns out if you build a station that people aren't afraid to use at night and that actually works, you make money.
It's a validation of that premium experience. But there's a darker side to this build-out. As these stations get more common, they're becoming targets. We saw a report from Vladislav Vladipov that was, frankly, pretty alarming.
I think alarming is the right word. He was flagging a crisis in cable theft.
And he wasn't talking about, kids just vandalizing screens. This is organized.
He broke it down. He said with hydraulic scissors, a thief can cut a high-power charging cable in about 12 seconds.
12 seconds.
You could be at a stoplight longer than that. And here's the brutal economic part. The scrap copper in that cable might get them maybe 50 euros.
Okay.
But for the operator, the cost to replace that liquid-cooled cable, the labor, the downtime, you're looking at 1,500 euros or more.
That's just unsustainable. A couple of those a month, and your profit margin is gone.
Vladipov calls it an infrastructure vulnerability. Not just petty crime, it's systemic. If users show up and cables are missing, trust just evaporates.
It's another one of those growing pains. Speaking of pain, York Cole brought up the user experience side of things. He called the payment landscape a jungle.
A jungle of apps, RFID cards, QR codes that don't load.
It's a mess. And he was contrasting it with plug-in charge, which seems so simple. You plug it in, the car talks to the charger, billing happens in the background. Why is this still a debate?
Because of data and control, right?
Right.
Operators want you in their app ecosystem.
They do, but Kolb's arguing that the friction is now costing them business. Users are just tired of downloading a new app for every 50 kilometers they drive. Like Cecile Post said, the market needs to grow up. A mature market has to be seamless.
Okay, let's shift gears to the heavyweights. Theme 2, the trucking sector. If passenger cars are having growing pains, heavy-duty trucking feels like it's just waking up to a nightmare of missing infrastructure.
The gap is startling. Gerald Wolforth put some numbers on this that really frame the problem. There are roughly 10,000 electric trucks operating in Europe right now.
Okay, 10,000. That sounds like a decent start.
It does. But do you know how many true heavy-duty fast-charging locations exist for them?
I'm guessing not 10,000.
About 300.
300. That's not a bottleneck, that's a pinhole.
It is. You have 10,000 assets fighting for 300 spots. And Wolforth made another point that I think gets overlooked in all the tech specs. He talked about human infrastructure.
Because these trucks have drivers.
Exactly. And drivers have legally mandated rest times. They need lounges, showers, safety, good food. He mentioned the Baku World concept.
Right.
If you just stick a megawatt charger in a dark, unpaved lot with no bathroom, you're failing the driver, not just the truck. And in a driver shortage, that really matters.
But the hardware is coming. We saw that post from Lennart Olsen about a major opening at the Port of Gothenburg.
Yes, this is the Megawatt Charging System, MCS. It just launched at a Circle K at Vittermotet, involving Volvo trucks and the Port Authority.
So for anyone listening who isn't an engineer, can you explain why MCS is such a big deal?
It's the difference between a garden hose and a fire hose. A standard fast charger might peak at, 350 kilowatts?
If you're lucky.
Right. MCS targets over a megawatt. That allows a massive semi-truck battery to charge during the driver's mandatory 45-minute break. Without that, long-haul electric trucking just doesn't work.
We also saw a very interesting strange bedfellows moment. John Jerica's got a scoop about Beat Pulse.
This was fascinating. He spotted that Beat Pulse, an oil major's charging arm, is installing Tesla MCS chargers at a site in California.
Tesla hardware at a BP site.
Yeah. It signals a few things. One, Tesla's hardware manufacturing is probably way ahead of the pack for MCS. And two, BP Pulse is being pragmatic. They don't care about the branding war.
They just want something that works.
They want reliable 750 kilowatt pull-through bays that work. It makes the whole idea of high-power trucking corridors feel much more real.
Christoph Lefilibert thinks this year, 2026, is the tipping point. He says electric trucks are going to shake up everything when it comes to grid planning.
He's right, but shake up's a polite way of saying break. Philip Graff had a necessary reality check here. He's seen depots that want to electrify. They buy, say, 6 electric trucks for a pilot. They go to plug them all in at the same time, and the local grid connection just fails.
So the trucks are there, the chargers are there, but the pipe from the power plant is too small.
The grid constraint is the new range anxiety, and Graff points out you can't just add more power. It takes years to upgrade substations. This is forcing fleets to get really smart about when they charge, not just where.
Which is a perfect lead-in to Theme 3, battery technology and life cycle. Because if the grid is constrained, the health of the battery becomes your most valuable asset.
And there's so much misinformation floating around here. The biggest fear for any fleet manager is that they buy a $150,000 electric truck, and in 3 years, the battery is dead.
Charlotte Argue from Geotab just dropped a data bomb that should silence that fear. They analyzed 22,700 EVs, a massive sample size.
It's real data, not anecdotes. And they found the average degradation is only 2.3% per year.
So after 10 years, you've still got almost 80% of your range.
Correct. The batteries are outlasting the vehicles. But she went further and took aim at the whole 20 to 80% rule. You know, the commandment that you must never charge above 80%.
Oh, yeah. I feel like my car scolds me if I try to go to 100%.
Well, for a fleet, that 20% buffer is just lost utility. Geotab's data shows that charging to 100% for daily use adds a penalty of only about 0.8% degradation.
That's negligible.
It's just noise. If charging to 100% means a driver can finish a route without stopping, the ROI on that extra range just crushes the tiny bit of battery health you might lose.
Fleet managers need to stop babying these batteries and start using them.
Exactly. But managing that health isn't just about chemistry, it's software. Lipika Sharma made a strong case that the innovation is moving from the cell to the BMS, the battery management system.
The brain of the battery.
It's the brain. It decides everything. And she highlighted that as we move to second life batteries, the history of that battery matters. She mentioned the battery pack Aadhaar number, or BPAN, in India.
Is that like a digital passport for the battery?
That's a great way to put it. It tracks the battery from the mine to the recycling center. So if you're buying a used battery pack, you need to know, was this thing fast charged every day? Was it sitting in extreme heat? The BPN gives you that transparency.
And eventually, all those batteries end up in recycling. I saw Multi-Brettel shared a huge update about Silib securing over 63 million euros for a facility in Europe. But the real story wasn't the money, it was the chemistry they're targeting.
LFP.
Right, LFP.
And this is a really important nuance. LFP lithium iron phosphate batteries are great. They're cheap, they're safe, they don't use cobalt or nickel. But because they don't have those expensive metals, traditional recyclers hate them.
No gold in the trash, so to speak.
Exactly. It costs more to recycle an LFP battery than the materials inside are worth. So it's an economic dead end. Silib claims to have cracked the code to make LFP recycling profitable. If they have, that unlocks the circular economy for all those affordable EVs we talked about earlier.
Before we leave tech, I have to mention Ali Zulfagarian's post on structural batteries. This sounds like pure engineering wizardry.
It's the idea of making the battery part of the car's frame. So instead of a box of batteries sitting in the chassis, the battery is the chassis.
Wild.
It saves weight, handles vibration better. It's complex, but it just shows we are still in the very early innings of vehicle architecture.
Okay, let's move to theme 4. Bidirectional charging, or V2G. The dream that our cars can power our lives. Bastian Jurel introduced a German term that I thought was perfect.
Oh.
Stettzeuge.
Stettzeuge. It's a play on Fahrzeug, or vehicles. It translates roughly to standing things.
Which is so accurate, right? My car sits in my driveway 97% of the time.
It's an idle asset. Jurel's argument is that this is economic madness. We have these massive batteries just sitting there doing nothing. And Jeroen Bruininge pointed out that German regulators are finally waking up to this.
They're removing the double charging fees.
Yes. Previously, if you took electricity from the grid into your car, you paid a tax. If you then sold it back to the grid, you might get taxed again. It just killed the business case.
But Manfred Rosabel from Ambibox came in with a bit of a reality check on what V2G actually does.
Yeah, and I think we need that reality check. People hear V2G and think, great, if the power goes out, my car runs my house.
The prepper dream.
Right. But Prace-Billa points out that V2G is mostly about grid services, stabilizing frequency, shaving peaks. To actually run your house in a blackout called islanding, you need very specific, expensive hardware.
And just connect from the grid.
Exactly. So you don't electrocute the lineman fixing the wires. So V2G is a financial tool for the grid, not necessarily a survivalist tool for the homeowner, at least for now.
And Jacob Gumasmar pointed out another boring but critical bottleneck. Smart meters.
The infrastructure lag strikes again.
You can't have a dynamic energy trade with your car if your house has a mechanical meter from 1995.
Right. And he notes that while commercial VDG offers are coming in 2026, the lack of smart meter rollout in places like Germany is a massive break on the whole system.
Interestingly, Rob Zafrada and Piotr Polak noted the U.S. might be moving faster here.
The Toyota and Encore Pilot in the U.S.
Right.
Turning cars into virtual power plants. Because the U.S. grid is, let's say, less stable in places than the European grid, the incentive to use cars as backup is much higher.
Okay, let's zoom out for our final theme, market design and geopolitics. We started with Canadian tariffs, but Bill Pierce raised a red flag about what that actually means.
Pierce argues that Canada is essentially becoming a backdoor. If Chinese EVs enter Canada at a 6% tariff and supply chains get established there,
it becomes very difficult to stop those vehicles, or at least their components, from filtering south.
He thinks it's a direct threat to the U.S. auto industry's protectionist bubble.
But while the politicians are building walls, the companies are building bridges. Michael Gansler reported that Ford is in talks to use BYD's batteries for their hybrids.
The irony is delicious, isn't it? Ford, an American icon, might need to partner with BYD, the Chinese juggernaut, just to survive.
It's survival over ideology.
It shows that politics is one thing, but supply chain reality is another. If Ford wants affordable hybrids on the road next year, they can't wait for a domestic battery factory to be built. They have to buy from the leader.
We're also seeing huge moves in the Middle East. Inabit Ufut and Rami Ashri shared news about ADNOC launching the largest charging hub in the region.
60 charging points on the E11 highway. What I like about this is that it's anticipatory. They aren't waiting for EV traffic jams. They're building the capacity first.
And finally, in France, Alexandre Claret highlighted a new bill about freight, 30% zero-emission freight by 2035. But there's a twist.
This is a huge shift. The bill places the burden on the shippers, the companies hiring the trucks, not just the carriers.
So if you're a major retailer,
You are responsible for making sure your goods move on green trucks. That forces the money to trickle down. It changes the whole conversation.
before we wrap up, I have to ask you about the air-powered car. Rachel Lai posted about this, a car in China that runs on compressed air.
It sounds like steampunk, doesn't it? 100-kilometer range, 2-minute refuel.
Is this real tech or just a distraction?
It's probably a niche. The energy density of compressed air is terrible compared to batteries, but I love that it exists. It shows we aren't done inventing. We get so focused on lithium-ion, but hey, maybe for a forklift or a campus vehicle, air is fine.
It's a good reminder to keep an open mind. So, looking back, Canada's opening doors, thieves are cutting cables, trucks are waiting for power, and fleets are finally doing the math on battery ROI.
The common thread is maturity. The easy days of PowerPoint presentations are over. Now we have to dig the trenches, upgrade the meters, fight off the thieves, and balance the grid. It's harder, but it's real.
Real is good. We like real. If you enjoyed this episode, new episodes drop every 2 weeks. Also check out our other editions on future mobility and market evolution, next-gen vehicle intelligence, and commercial fleet insights. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next update. See you then.